When you clear your throat today, will you do so away from the mic, though?
How's that?
Anyway.
That's staying in the show. Ricken Financial presents Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement. Gerry Ricken and Heidi Ricken Provost want to help you reach the retirement you deserve. Let's build a strategy that gives you the confidence while meeting your financial wants and needs. Meet the team at rickenfinancial.com. Now, Kickin' with the Rickens.
Appreciate the like, appreciate the subscription, appreciate you downloading Kickin' with the Rickens, redefining retirement. RickenFinancial.com to meet the team, see all the services they have to offer. My name is Mark Owens. Heidi Ricken Provost is here. Gerry Ricken has successfully cleared his throat. He is ready to go. How's everybody doing?
Great. How about you?
I got no complaints. So, Heidi, how was your weekend? How's your week been? What's been going on with you lately?
You know, we had some friends in from out of town and did pizza night at home, and Steven over-engineered the Uni pizza oven per usual, but this time it was not as stressful as it usually is.
But I do understand that his pizza crust is even a lot better now.
It is better, yeah. He has a new gluten ratio or whatever. I don't know. He does the science. I just put it all together.
I've got a cheese to meat ratio.
That's what I do. So I do the hard part.
Yeah, that's the good part.
Oh, yeah. And then Sunday, we had some forced family fun. We actually ended up having an amazing day.
Sunday fun day.
It was my parents' 40th wedding anniversary that we got to spend together as a family, minus my brother. We missed him. I mean, think about this, Mark. Like, who gets to actually spend 40 years with their soulmate?
I love that.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm going to make my dad cry when I say this, but like they are such a wonderful example of what you need in a marriage when it comes to fidelity and like truly living out your vows. And in our faith, it's a sacrament to commit your life to someone. Mm-hmm. And my parents are an incredible example of living out that sacrament. It was awesome. We went to go pick peaches and my mom made the corny little joke, but it's true. She was like, "Oh, Heidi, take a picture with Dad because I picked a good one." And sometimes you have to search hard for the good one, but when you find the good one, they're worth it. And I just wanted to talk about the example that they set because it's difficult nowadays in general to stay married for a year, let alone 40.
Oh yeah.
Then, you know, when you look at marriages,
what, 50% divorce rates now?
50% divorce rate in general. Mm-hmm. And then when you look at marriages of, you know, a couple who have had to bury a child, there's like a 78% divorce rate. So seeing my parents come closer together through everything they've been through is incredible and something that I don't take lightly. And I feel very grateful that I have their marriage to look up to.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you're welcome.
There it is. You called it. Oh, man, grab the tissues. Gerry, first and foremost, congratulations. That's inspiring.
Thank you so much. Absolutely
beautiful. 40 years, a lot of speed bumps. What's the secret, or is there one?
Secret's communication. Mm-hmm. Communication. Something's on your mind, you express it. If nothing's on your mind, then you just have a beer.
Well, that's what
I have to say from an outside perspective. I think the other secret that you and Mom share, it's not a secret to anyone, but the other secret is that you guys have faith in each other and in your higher power, and that has made a difference in your marriage too.
Yep.
I would say.
There's no question about that. Fun fact, Mark, we had a double wedding. It's the only one I've ever attended. And
Who else?
It was our own. Sheila's sister Patty and her husband Chris.
Save some money.
Well, I'm not
Fun
sure
fact.
about that. But
Poppy and I had this conversation one time, and he said, "I would have thought combining both weddings would have saved us money." Even that, the two girls that got married that day, that each of their cost more than the other girls' weddings. So it did not save money.
I thought it was a good idea. It was my idea, so I thought it was a good idea. I had a lot of fun.
Well, you know, I think that leads into a great conversation that we're going to have this week here with Kicking with the Rickens, and it's about money, income, but most importantly, debt. Because they say that in a marriage, the biggest argument, it's not, the kids, it's not the bedroom stuff, it's always money. People fight more over money, and more divorces are because of money than anything else. So let's talk about that this weekend and about debt specifically. Heidi, let's talk about some strategies on paying off debt because we all got it. How do we pay it down? What are your strategies?
They're going to change based upon what phase of life you're in. So we're going to start with the first phase, the accumulation phase. So if you haven't heard us talk about this before, we have accumulation and decumulation are two phases of our life. Accumulation is when you're still working and you're trying to accumulate funds for the future so that you can retire one day. You're trying to work on that nest egg to build it up. So if you're in the accumulation phase and paying off debt, what's the first thing you want to take advantage of, Dad?
The first thing you want to take advantage of when you're in the accumulation phase is making sure that you are spending the right amount of money and spending within your means. And if you're not spending within your means, then we probably need to have a conversation, because a lot of people just, when you get out of school and you have your first paycheck, you think you're the richest person on earth. Okay. So, but you need to really define what that means and what you do with that money. And the first thing you do is you pay yourself first and you build an emergency fund. That is the first thing you do no matter what, because things happen. Even if you're a 24-year-old and your car may break down, so, or you may want a down payment on a deposit on a apartment. You want to move out of the basement. So that's the first thing you absolutely want to do, is pay yourself first and build that emergency fund before you do anything else.
Of course. And, beyond that, you want to maximize whatever match you have available. So if you're working for an employer that has a match in a retirement plan, take full advantage of that match and put the money that you need to put away for the future so that you can get the maximum match, because that's free money and you can't beat free money.
That's
Amen.
right. I mean, years ago, a company brought us in to talk to their employees about the importance of the match. And the first thing we did is I set a $20 bill down on the table. And I said, who wants this $20 bill? And they all looked at me like, why wouldn't we want that $20 bill? I said, whoever wants this $20 bill, come up and pick it up. And nobody did. We didn't understand why they wouldn't pick it up, but they didn't pick it up because they thought there was some trick involved. I was just trying to prove that you never leave money on the table. If an employer is willing to match your funds, you take advantage of that match, because that's free money. It's not tax-free money because it'll be taxable in the future unless you do a Roth conversion. But the importance of picking up free money, it blows up my mind when people don't utilize that. Mm-hmm. And don't maximize the match from their employer.
So once you maximize that, and you make sure that you have emergency funds, I know we've had this conversation before, so you can look back in, our archives for our emergency fund, like deep dive in, but at bare minimum, 3 to 6 months of your expenses should be set aside for emergencies. We would suggest that should probably be in a high yield savings too, as well, instead of just sitting in a 0% checking account. But once you have those emergency funds in place, then what do we do? Well, if you have any form of debt, so say you have student loans and or a car payment and or a mortgage and or a home equity line of credit.
And or a credit card bill
exactly.
That's not paid off every month.
Mm-hmm.
So.
You need to have a plan in place for how you're going to pay down those debts. And like Gerry mentioned, step 1, you need to start spending within your means. And that means not continuously putting things on credit cards or other forms of credit. But for what you're taking home on a monthly basis, covering your necessary expenses and then coming up with a debt reduction plan so that in the future, you're not in this big hole and you can climb out of it and retire one day. So what does a debt reduction plan look like?
Well, we have access to a proprietary debt reduction plan that we utilize that allows you to have your money work more than once for you. When we think about money usually works once for you. Okay. When I say that, what I mean by that is you save money, then you buy something, or you buy something and you receive that good, then you pay down that balance on credit, whether that's a loan, a car loan, or a credit card loan, or education loans. You use that money once. What happens is there's another party involved in each one of those transactions. It's a credit card company or it's a financial institution that is issuing credit to you, or you're saving that in a financial institution, then you're using that money. We have a plan where we can become our own quote unquote bank, not in the traditional FDIC sense of the word, but in the practical sense of the word. We can pay ourselves first, then borrow against that money at extremely low and favorable interest rates and pay debt off a lot quicker, while at the same time building a nest egg for the future, which will in fact be tax-free. So that is an extremely important thing to focus on and think about. A lot of people don't, they say, well, how can this happen? Well, believe me, it does. We've been meeting with a lot of clients' children lately about their debts. A lot of kids are graduating with student loan debt. We had one young man that came in last week with $58,300 worth of debt, and he was going to pay it off over 10 years. But he said, I'm paying a little bit extra on these, like $200 a month. So, and that's an important thing to do. And when you look at your debts, you always want to pay off the highest interest rate debt first, then knock those off and continue. Well, with our strategy, he was able to get that done a lot quicker. In fact, 4.6 years as opposed to the 10-year strategy that the student loan debt organization wanted him to pay it off in. But it's important to focus on if you're paying extra, and by the way, we can get that reduced by 4.6 years by using the same amount of money he was currently expending. So it isn't getting more money. It's just reallocating the funds and how you reallocate them to get it paid off a lot faster. One of the questions we always ask is, are you 100% sure that your financial life and your retirement life is going to be great in the future, or do you have any doubt? Well, most people say, no, I have some doubt. Well, what if we could take your debts and reduce them, including your mortgage, because we've had this happen as well.
Oh, yeah.
Pay that off within 10 years while building some security for your future. And people say, yes, well, I'd love to learn more about that. So those are some of the things we can do for people. In fact, we had one young man who came, he was fortunate. He bought a smaller home. He had a car loan, some student loan debt, and a mortgage. And everything was going to pay off in 26 years. We moved that down to 10 years. So he's very, very happy with the plan, and he's moving forward with it. And those are the kinds of things that we can do for people.
Let's talk about a debt reduction strategy that people utilize on a daily basis nowadays. Most people do it DIY. A certain man whose initials are DR that they listen to, and they think they know how to pay down debt because they read his book. So they know better than anyone else how to pay down debt. There's nothing wrong with his strategy, which is you take the highest interest rate and you overpay on that while paying the minimums of your other debts until that gets paid down. Then you utilize those funds and you continue to, snowball the effect until you pay down all your debts. Nothing wrong with that plan. But if you're DIYing it, you're missing out on the opportunity to utilize proprietary strategies that could pay it down much faster with the exact same amount of money, saving you time, and interest, because we all know that interest on our debt is the issue that you're being faced with if you have any form of debt. Look at our country. We have quite a bit of interest on our debt. You don't want to do that in your own personal portfolio. So sometimes DIY can't get it done in a debt strategy for you. But the other thing is, if you're DIY paying down those debts, that's great. We're glad that you're getting your way out of debt. But you know what you're not doing in that time period on your own right? You're not building a nest egg for the future at the same time. So if you can utilize a system that does both at the same time, you're going to be way ahead of game in the future versus just doing that DIY strategy. Because so many people come to us and they say, well, I can just do this myself. Sometimes you can't because you don't have the systems in place that allow you to do it. That's the beautiful thing, that the guy you were just talking about, Dad, when he came to see us, we said, what are your financial goals? And he said, honestly, I need to find my way out of debt. And I've never thought beyond that goal because it seems too lofty.
Yeah, it just seems like such a burden. And we've talked about this before on this show, is the ease of buying things, especially with the whole advent of Amazon and the online purchasing opportunities that we're all faced with. A lot of people just point and click and buy. And we just went through Prime Days, and I'm sure that I heard that they were had record sales on those 2 days, which means a lot of people went into debt on those 2 days. Okay, on credit card debt. Those debts are probably not being paid off when the credit card cycles the next time.
Yeah,
we tend as Americans to overspend, and all of a sudden you sit back. They're designed to pay the minimums. The minimums are designed to keep you in debt for a long time.
Oh yeah,
we want to get you out of debt in a shorter period of time than what the finance companies want to keep you in debt. We want to make sure that you're benefiting and they're not benefiting.
It's funny you say that about Amazon Prime Day, because we're guilty. Just the other night, I probably spent about 30 minutes breaking down boxes. You would think we worked at a factory on all these boxes that I had to break down. I'm like, we alone are personally keeping Amazon afloat for at least another year or so. So, customer of the month right
Thanks
here.
for making sure it's going to be around for the rest of us in the future.
So you're talking about the debt reduction plan, and which is a great opportunity from the team at Ricken Financial. What is just the one piece of advice that you would give young adults that could be listening right now to avoid this crippling debt? You said it a little bit at the beginning of the show here, but what is the one piece of advice of trying to avoid staying out of debt? What would you say?
As you get started, make sure you're always spending within your means and have a budget in place. Pay yourself first and then pay others for the goods and services, but pay yourself first. And that's really the key to it.
And when we meet with a lot of people, Mark, and a lot of people do get into debt, and even debt when they're in their 60s and they haven't saved a lot, then what we do is we look at everything they're spending. And is this a want or a need? And how much do you want it?
Mm-hmm.
You need to ask yourself, how much do I want this? If I took that same amount of money and I just invested it, or I started paying off the debt, how much better would I be off financially? And how much burden would I be relieving off my shoulders? And how much worry would I be eliminating?
You know, it's funny you say that, because did we need a Bluetooth shower scrubber? No. But apparently my wife wanted it because it was on sale on Prime Day. So the want versus need. You have Gretchen's number. I'm going to let you call her as soon as we wrap things up. So the debt reduction plan, if you find yourself in this situation, we invite you to reach out to the team at Ricken Financial to have these conversations, maybe get you set up with that debt reduction plan as well. RickenFinancial.com, or of course, all that information, you can find it in the show notes. Gerry, Heidi, thank you for the information and the education. Before we get out of here, let's finish it up. Every day
is a holiday.
Life is short.
Laugh hard.
Thanks for listening. This has been Kicking with the Rickens, redefining retirement.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Ricken Financial LLC. Ricken Financial LLC is also an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth LLC, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Ricken Financial LLC are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Ricken Financial LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during the show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Ricken Financial LLC.
Please remember that converting an employer plan account to a Roth IRA is a taxable event. Increased taxable income from the Roth IRA conversion may have several consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA.